Hello guys, first off I'd like to thank you for all the amazing support I've gotten over the Elden Ring series, and I'd like to apologize for missing last week's upload as I've been sick with what I presume is COVID. The test was negative, but I haven't been this sick in a long time. Anyways, I recorded the script pre-sickness, so I thought I'd release this video instead. And as for my upcoming series on the channel, I have a playthrough of last year of Nostalgaia, Asterigos, my first playthrough of Sekiro, Cuphead and its DLC, and then another Elden Ring modded run. Anyways, without further ado, please enjoy my year in gaming 2022. Thank you.
With the recent email I'd received from Steam titled Steam Replay of 2022, it got me reflecting over the past year and how much I've changed as a person, but more importantly, how many games I've played in 2022. Let's start by jumping all the way back to January, where I started off the year with Monster Sanctuary. This game was my first struggle of 2022. It was a very difficult game and took way too long for me to beat. It was my first reflection on my life this year where I could reflect on the struggles of the game with the struggle of mental health in the beginning of the year. But I did end up completing the game and overcame its very annoying late game difficulty. After completing Monster Sanctuary, I played something a little bit more brain numbing to take my mind off things, and I started the game Omega Strike, a mobile game that was brought to Steam. It wasn't very great. It was something to just get my mind off of things. The gameplay loop was super simple. Walk through levels, fight enemies, boss would appear at the end of each section, and then you continue on and repeat. Then I went on to Little Nightmares 2, which is a short horror game, but I loved it nonetheless. I was a super big fan of Little Nightmares 1, so I couldn't wait to see what they did with Little Nightmares 2. I actually wrote little reviews for all these games, which I would share with my friends in a Discord chat, as you can see here. Beat Little Nightmares 2. It was a good follow-up to the first Little Nightmares game. I really liked the soundtrack and the chase sequences. They did a really good job of making you feel weak and vulnerable. I really like what these games do and their atmosphere, but they lack in size. Around 5 hours to beat. I just need a little bit more to be fully satisfied because of the length. I cannot recommend this game at full price. It was an 8 out of 10, and shout out to my friend Naps for buying me the game. So yeah, I would write those little reviews after every game I'd played for my friends, and I think that was it for my games beat in January. Although I had played a bunch of other games, I had moved them onto the dreadful backlog. Those games being Monster Hunter Rise, Made of Skur, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Remothered, Hot Wheels, Eldest Souls, Dead, Serious Sam 4, Super Monkey Balls, We Happy Few, Hades, Guacamelee, blah blah blah. I played other games with my friends such as Phasmophobia and Valorant during this time, but I did not complete any more games in January. On to February. I was looking for games to play anticipating Elden Ring's release, so I played Nioh. Now, I never finished the game, but I can appreciate the depth of the combat system with the stances and the different creatures' abilities that you have along the sides. But in the game, I ran to a wall where I had progressed so much more than I was supposed to at my level that I was severely underleveled. Every enemy became a tank of HP that just felt unstoppable. So I stopped playing by giving up. It's not something I enjoy doing, so this game lived pretty rent-free in my head, I'm not gonna lie. But to distract myself from that, I've completed the game Grime. This was my second ever Metroidvania game that I had completed, and I had a lot of fun with it. The character and the world were super cool and ominous. I really liked the whole rock structure design, and the pairing mechanic was a super cool choice. I really loved what they did with that. I also played through Shadow Warrior 2 in this month, but I mostly spent through the game just wanting to play something that could remind me of Doom while I could binge from Netflix on my second monitor. When Elden Ring released, you guys must know that I obviously love Elden Ring by this point, as I had uploaded on my channel after already beating it. I came back, replayed it with a little twist on it, and I enjoyed all of it. And this was one of my first games that fueled my motivation, something that I struggle with very often, even now writing this. But Elden Ring opened my eyes to the Souls-like series. That's the only other Souls-like game I had played up to that point was Hollow Knight. So after Elden Ring got me longing for Souls-like, I played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 in order. I could appreciate the aged Dark Souls 1, even if the combat didn't fully feel like how Elden Ring's polished combat does now. It was still the same idea and a challenge to overcome, something that I had to do time and time again throughout my lifetime. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Dark Souls 1 was one of the times I've struggled most with a game, and the infamous Ornstein and Smough fight. This fight almost made me quit, but then I had the thought of how quitting made me feel when I quit Nioh, the feeling of defeat, and I hated that feeling. So I kept bashing my head against the wall that is Ornstein and Smough until I finally beat them. The feeling of overcoming something so challenging in your life is rare, and it feels so good when you finally do achieve it, even if you fall back into its grasp. Then I moved on to Dark Souls 2, which, if I'm being honest, I don't understand most of the game's hate, and I did enjoy it, but I should preface that I probably experienced the game way differently than the majority of you, as I had never used any magic in a From Software game. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna give magic a try in Dark Souls 2, which in retrospect was kind of a mistake because it made the game a walkthrough. The infinite healing that you'd get mixed with range made this game super easy. But I had a ton of fun playing this way, even though it was super easy. I never had a true struggle of Dark Souls 2, but I did have a lot of memorable boss fights. I should include that I never played any of the DLCs because like I ran through the game pretty quickly and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm done with this. I want to move on to Dark Souls 3. So I never played any of the DLCs, which I've heard has been some of the best and the worst the game has to offer. Now onto my personal favorite of the trilogy, Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 felt the most like Elden Ring, so I think I gravitated towards it the most. I absolutely loved Dark Souls 3. I loved the callback to Anor Londo from Dark Souls 1. I absolutely loved the final boss of Slave Knight Gale, as Gale was very challenging. Like, that was the most I struggled on a boss in a long time. I think it was like, so I struggled most against Melania, then I struggled most against Ornstein and Samo. I think in Dark Souls 3, it was the Fia, I think her name was, when she had 3 different phases. That was horrible. Gale was definitely like struggle. I'll be 100% honest, after completing the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring, my views on games were twisted. Nothing could compare to what I just played. I had tried playing The Witcher 3, I tried playing like all these other games, but nothing felt as good as Elden Ring and Dark Souls had made me feel. I strayed away. I didn't finish a single game. Nothing gave me the feeling these games gave me. Nothing felt good. So I took a break from gaming for the first time in my life. I wanted to be outdoors and do activities instead of being inside. And that is something that is super rare because I've always been a more introverted person that I would rather just be inside on my own, just playing whatever game I wanted to play at the time with my friends or whatever. And this had left me not wanting to play games. Maybe it was something about my mental changed after playing these games, or maybe nothing felt good after playing these games. I don't really know the exact cause, but all I know is I couldn't finish a game to save my life, so I didn't want to be around my computer. May rolls around and I had still not completed a single game. I had given a list of games chances, but none of them stuck. I was mentally happier at this time, but I felt like I was missing something. I played some games casually with friends, like Valorant and custom zombie maps, but I wasn't fiending for them like I once was. That being said, for the first time in months, I had beaten a game. It was me and my friend. We'd played Little Hope. That game was fun, especially for me and my friend to hop on and just do something together. It was like a movie, and our goal in that game was to keep one character alive. And we did just that. After the game revealed its twist at the end, we were in shock, but we kept one person alive, so we were happy regardless of the outcome. July was a repeat of June, but instead of completing Little Hope, this time me and my friend took on Man of Medan, and we also saved more than one person this time, so we were very happy with that. But I still didn't have that feeling for gaming. I was more interested in my other hobbies like shoes and spending time with friends outside of the internet rather than being inside playing games. August. I would look at my backlog and become nauseous. Currently, there are 104 games in my backlog. And at that time, I had just bought a couple more because of the Steam summer sale, so I'd purchased more games. Every time I looked at my backlog, it disgusted me how big it was, so I started to cross some games off. So I played Ender Lilies. Ender Lilies has a very interesting concept. Instead of your character attacking directly with a weapon like you would traditionally, you would swap between these monsters / summons that would attack for you, each of them having a different ability. Like some will just have a sword slash, some will have like a mage ability, some will be like a ground pound, whatever it may be, they attack for you. But it actually feels like fluent, which surprised me because usually when people try those gimmicky summon attacks, like it doesn't feel like you're actually fighting, but in this it actually like added up, so I really enjoyed that. It also had good exploration and some difficult boss fights, but I didn't want to 100% it because my taste for gaming wasn't all the way back yet, but it was a good game regardless. Next game I cleared from the backlog was SpongeBob Battle of Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, mostly due to the nostalgia, but nonetheless I fell back in love with the game I enjoyed so much as a child, so much that I 100%ed the achievements for the game. The next game I played was Tunic. Now, I've never played Zelda, but I imagine this is what Zelda feels like, and wow, does it feel good. Tunic had me invested with the lack of dialogue and having to piece together the map by yourself, and all the tutorials come in these like ripped pages, so you have to piece it out yourself. It's not written in English, so it's like you really gotta use your brain and really think about like, hey, what are they showing me here? How can I use this in the world around me? It gave me a hint of the feeling that Elden Ring did. I really liked the level design. It reminded me how everything interconnected back in Dark Souls 1 over at the Firelink Shrine. My only complaint of the game is that it was short. It took me like 12 hours to beat and left me wanting more. After Tunic, I beat Daymare 1998, Happy Game, Donut County. I was smoothing through the game's backlog and it felt great. September, the month of the roguelike. I had an itch for roguelikes, so I completed my first successful run of Hades. This game was so much fun, it had a lot to offer. The fast-paced combat and the Greek gods and the replayability with the snarky comments, while still gaining progress, had me hooked. It took me 10 hours of gameplay before I had my first successful run, and I was hooked the whole time. I even liked using all the different weapons, and eventually I'd like to go back with completing a run with each of the weapons. I think that'd be really cool. I then conquered Legend of Keepers, where you play as the villain and the heroes try to beat you and you set up traps. Basically like a turn-based combat game. It was mindless fun, so I completed that game. Then I played Archvale. This game hit me by surprise. I didn't really know what to expect going in, but I didn't expect to be pulled back into gaming like this. I was doing 8-hour sessions of this bullet hell dungeon crawler. Before that, I had never really played anything like this. I 100% of this game and I enjoyed doing it. The only other game I enjoyed 100%ing at that time was Elden Ring. I proceeded to then check Henry's Sickman collection, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Fraud off of my backlog. I know, right? Some fire games, am I right? This month was huge. I had finally found an affordable graphics card to replace my measly 1650. I had purchased a brand new 3070 and right away started Doom Eternal. I had held off this game due to having poor FPS / having to turn on the graphics whenever I wanted to play it, and I didn't want to experience the game like that, so I just pushed it off. That's why I haven't played a couple of the games like Sekiro I haven't played yet, so I think I might do that on the channel at some point. We'll see. So finally being able to play it brought me so much joy. I didn't feel held back by my hardware for the first time in a long time, and I really love that freeing feeling that it gives you. You can do anything you want on your computer, when before, like, I always had to like research into the spec and be like, oh, sorry guys, I can't play this with you guys, and like limit my friends of what we were playing together, or I would just endure a poor gaming experience just so I could play stuff with my friends. It was a lose-lose. Doom Eternal is the most fun I've had in an FPS game in a long time. Most single-player FPS games are boring and don't try to do anything special or switch it up. They just repeat the same thing that they've been good at, which is just shoot bad guy, walk through linear level. And it doesn't feel great unless like the story is really good, but I haven't found one of those in a long time. I'm a huge advocate for the Doom gameplay loop. It's super addicting and makes you feel like a badass, something that I really love when playing games, which is why I want to play God of War so bad. This month, I also got the motivation leading to the channel you are now watching this on. I didn't want to start the channel until November, as it gave me time to prepare with video ideas. I tried Scorn. I didn't like that game, to be honest. I then replayed through all of Hollow Knight, and I didn't like how the video turned out, so I changed my editing style and started the Elden Ring randomizer. I was swamped. It was starting snowing here in Canada. I had switched over to working full-time and dedicate all my free time to the Elden Ring series because it was the one thing that kept me afloat. Hope. This only did so much for me. Not speaking to my friends because working full-time, and I'd only get Monday, Tuesday off, which my friends would either work or be busy on those days, so I couldn't really speak to them. It had taken a toll on me mentally. I would struggle to get out of bed sometimes, and I realized that I had fallen into depression. The only thing I was holding on to was Elden Ring and YouTube. It made me feel something. Elden Ring was my motivation to leave bed on days off. My goal was to get one upload a week. I think I missed the mark by 1 week. Besides that, it was working. Elden Ring was stopping me from falling back into a full depressive episode. I guess you could say Elden Ring saved me. All I played during December was Elden Ring with one goal in mind, finishing the series. I grinded all the way through December and it was amazing. I finally finished it and again left wanting more Elden Ring. Nothing else could suffice. Current day. As I'm writing this, it is January 3rd, 2023, and this year I plan on overcoming my depression, completing 20% of my backlog, I know, long list, and uploading at least once a week for the whole year. I really want to give this YouTube thing a fair shot, and I don't want to stop before I really get my fair opportunity. That being said, I look forward to many uploads in 2023, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video, my gaming in 2022. Here's to more gaming in 2023. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe.